I met Zay at a vigil for the death of a transgender girl named Leila Alcorn. I was working at this newspaper for about 2 weeks, and there was a suicide that came up on the breaking news shift. And as we're looking at the details of this, and we don't usually report on it, we found this suicide note on Tumblr that was linked to this young transgender girl, and everything changed. It wasn't just someone committing suicide, it was someone committing suicide for this societal problem. She wrote in her note that her parents didn't accept her, they didn't love her, and she felt like she couldn't live anymore. So as we looked into this issue and looked at the transgender community in Cincinnati, we realized that no one was being represented, no one was being talked about. I was at a memorial service for this young woman, and there were 600 people there at her high school. And I'm in the back of the crowd, I'm shooting some videos, some stills, and I hear this young teenager start speaking. And I crawled through the crowd, and I saw Zay. She could barely reach the microphone, and I was just immediately drawn there. So I started photographing her and her family, and as the vigil ended, I went and talked to her grandma, grandpa, brother, brother's girlfriend, mom, dad, got everyone's name. So that's how I met Zay. And I was very fortunate with the Crawford family because they gave me this access that a photographer could only dream of. They wanted other children to know that there are families out there that will love and understand and accept you. So that was their motivation, which made the access so much easier. She's a very warm and open and loving person. And in the beginning, I didn't put up my camera as much. I was just being with her and wanted her to know who I was as much as I knew who she was. And that took a lot of understanding, and it took time. I mean, one day we just baked cupcakes because I wanted her to realize that I'm not just gonna fly in and then leave. I wanted us to have this relationship, so she did trust me. So that when I'm sitting in her bedroom and she's talking to me about suicide, that she's comfortable. In order to get the time to do this piece, I was talking to as many people as I could about the piece and how powerful it was. And as we were starting to do the research about, just finding the statistics for transgender youth and transgender adults, 41% of transgender individuals attempt to commit suicide at least once in their life. And the numbers were just heartbreaking. When I was editing the piece, I put on a little post-it note, 41, because that to me was a huge motivation to see that there are so many people that don't feel loved and accepted in their own skin. Seeing that number and seeing that, this piece could have a positive effect was a huge motivation. This story was one of our most viewed pieces, and the reception that we got from newspapers from around the country and from around the world was just incredible. Because while transgender has become a pretty common term now, a year ago, not a lot of people knew what it was, especially in the Midwest. I was proud that we were one of the first newspapers to do a story like this about a young transgender girl going through the puberty process and, making her decision with her family. The paper was really excited. This is the first time our paper's ever been in a competition like this, and it's a big deal. It's an honor.